The Locker Room, with all the sports news you need, live.
Hello, very good evening to you. Welcome to the Locker Room here on Independence Live on a Friday night. I never forgot what night it was. Joined by Skipping Racing as ever, and he is going to be an old man tomorrow. Not as old as me, but not as old as my jump either, but never mind. So, happy birthday.
Thank you, mate.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The big 30, I was saying to Stephen that I can't remember when I was 30. I must have been about had a whole head of hair, but never mind. So you can comment in the usual ways. Of course, you can comment on YouTube and Facebook. We're live until 7 tonight. And don't forget, we're live tomorrow night as well. You're thinking, what, on the Saturday night? It's because the big Euro draw for the Euros next summer, and Mr. Racing is on his way to the airport. Not now late enough. In a few months,
Michael.
Yeah. So before we get into the games, and obviously I will speak to you about last night's games as well very quickly. What are you hoping for tomorrow in the draw for Scotland?
Easiest draw imaginable, I think. So the short answer to it, if there is such a thing as an easy draw in a major competition, I think if every team that's there, maybe with the exception of the playoffs, is there on merit because they've qualified through the groups. So listen, no matter who you're going to face, it's going to be tough. But I think there's definitely a preferred draw that I would want. So will I give you it?
Yeah, on you go.
I'll go for Germany as the top seed, Albania from pot 2, and then in pot 4, the playoff C winners, which I think is either going to be Greece, Kazakhstan, Georgia, or Bosnia, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's right. I think it's one of the 4. So,
that's cool.
That path. No, it's Luxembourg. Sorry, it's Luxembourg, Bosnia, and then pot the B one. But So one of the 4 ideally is the pot 4 team. But that I don't think we'll get the worst draw in the world. I don't think we'll get the easiest one either. I think we might look at it and there might be somewhere in between.
Right, okay, that's cool. We'll find out tomorrow. Join us live at 5 with Graham. He'll be joined by a couple of guests on the show between 5 and 7 tomorrow. So listen out for that one. Okay, Stephen, we're going to build up to the weekend football action. Of course, we've got a big game tonight for the Scotland's women's team. They're playing against Belgium. The kickoff for that one is at 7:30, and we'll look ahead to that as well coming up on the show too. So let's start off with your beloved Motherwell. They got a decent point last week at Parkhead. And by the way, how was the hospitality, or can you remember that?
Thankfully I can remember. I only had a couple. I behaved myself. I was sensible. But no, it was good. Listen, everybody in there was very friendly. I made it clear for the off that I said, look, guys, I'm a Motherwell supporter, just so everybody knows. I just got it out there because I think it would have been a nightmare to try and sit there for 90 minutes and pretend otherwise. So no, I got that out the way quickly, and there was good banter for about an hour, and then it went really quiet. Michael, it looked as if Celtic weren't going to get a result. Then people started again when Turnbull scored, but no. The hardest thing I've ever had to do is stay quiet because obviously respect for everybody in there who's there to support their team. That when Motherwell did get the equaliser, but I can tell you I was absolutely jumping for joy inside in the minute I got outside Celtic Park again.
I know.
Listen, fantastic result considering the run of form we've been on. I think it'll be 10 games without a win now, but that point at Celtic Park feels like a victory. Do you know what I mean? Because of the manner you're not expecting to go there and get anything. So to get something feels like a win, absolutely. And hopefully Gregor in the comments won't like me saying this, but hopefully we can kick on tomorrow against Dundee and put in a good performance.
Yeah, I suppose that only counts as a good result tomorrow. Last week against Celtic, if you can actually build on that tomorrow. If you don't get nothing tomorrow, I don't think it counts as a good point for Motherwell last week.
It'd be so frustrating because it would almost be like taking one step forward to take 2 steps back if we don't get a result tomorrow. Given the fact that we're at home now, listen, I'm not trying to be disrespectful to Dundee. Dundee, as I've said many times on this show, they've made some great signings, and it's going to be a tough game. So, listen, it's not a game that we're just going to show up and win, especially with the run of form that we're on. But the fact that we're at home, we've just come off a good result. It's a real chance for that point to be the catalyst to spring us on now. But we need to make sure that that's the case.
Good evening to Gregor. Our usual Dundee fan, you can give us your prediction tomorrow, right enough. I think I know who you want to win the game. So thanks for watching on YouTube. And if you want to comment on anything that me and Stephen's talking about, just comment on there. We're on until 7 o'clock. We always like to hear from you on a Friday or Sunday night. Stuart Kettlewell, I don't know if you saw his press conference yesterday, Stephen, but it was more kind of upbeat yesterday in this press conference. But I think that was due to the fact that the last couple of weeks he had a few disappointing results. But he says the performance levels are still there. It's just like Linnets jump now and getting 3 points.
Yeah, it's about keeping what we had. I think this is what he said. It was about keeping what we had against Celtic in terms of the organisation, making sure that we were tough to break down and adding to it in the sense that we're more clinical and creating more chances in the final third. I still think, particularly first half against Celtic, I thought we created a good few chances. There was one that fell to Dan Casey. He hits the target, it's a goal, and then Harry Payton forces a save out of Joe Hart. So there were moments in that first half where we did create chances. I'm not buying into this anti-football stuff at all. As I've said many a time, we have to go to Celtic Park and be pragmatic, be hard to break down, and go there with a game plan. And listen, it worked, and that's what Stuart Kettlewell's teams are all about. They're about being hard to break down, Michael.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we were like when he came in. So, and third part was a wee bit of a fortress. So it's about getting back to that because your home form in the league. But actually, I think we've done okay away from home in the league.
Mm-hmm.
I think what we lost against Kilmarnock and we've lost at Ibrox in the league. But I think to my mind, that's maybe our only 2 away league defeats of the season. So the away form's been okay, but we don't seem to be able to be getting much at home at all. So we really need to rectify that home form and make sure that we get a win tomorrow.
How impressive was it to watch your team going away from home and coming not only coming away for a point but having a wee go as well, because as well as I do, like teams come to Parkhead and Ibrox and park about 10 buses bang the ball. But I've also watched Motherwell. I think Ross County comes to mind as well early in the season where I think Celtic ended up winning that 1-4-2 or 3-2. I can't remember the first game of the season. And I don't know about you, but it makes it a better game. I do know why teams park the bus, but I feel as though that if teams come out and have a go and make for a kind of better game.
Oh, definitely being a neutral is better to watch. But listen, Michael, I'm not going to Celtic Park for it to be pretty. I'm going to Celtic Park for Motherwell to give themselves the best chance of getting a point, and to do that, it was the approach that we took. Listen, the result is a bolt out of the blue because nobody's seen it coming. I certainly didn't see it coming, given the run of form that we've been on. But it just shows you what the squad's capable of. And it should be a reminder to every single player in that side that, look, we can go to these places and we can do well. Because it shouldn't be a shock, Michael. If you look at Kettlewell's record against Old Firm, I know we get beat at Ibrox, but it was a very good performance. He went to Celtic Park and got a point last season. He done it with Ross County when he put Celtic at the cup.
Yeah.
And we run them very close at Fir Park, so they got a point for that game, and then we've drew at the weekend there. So he seems to be able to set his sides up to do really well against the Old Firm. And what's good about the way he sets up is he makes sure that we carry a threat up the other end, because I think if you look at the Aberdeen Rangers game, that was a huge problem for Aberdeen in the second half, was the fact that they couldn't get out, they couldn't get up the pitch. So we made sure that we were still able to do that, and I think we were well worth a point.
Yeah, no, exactly. Gregor is saying, I think it'll be 2 each in Dundee's
Can
away
he have another draw?
Motherwell. I want to say, get off that fence, mate. It's a bit cold to sit in a fence tonight. But anyway, if you want 2 each, you can get 2 each. Santa's coming, so you can put on your wish list. But of course, he says, I would want an away win tomorrow. Well, I think Stephen might say the opposite from you, actually. So we'll end that ring one there. And Stuart Kettlewell said, in this press yesterday, says it was a positive result last week, but we need to kick on now. This weekend we have been on a good run. We just need to get back to the winning ways. I'm looking forward to the game. The first time, it's the first time we played them. It was so the first time we played them this season up at Dundee. It wasn't much between the sides, Stephen.
No, there certainly wasn't, and I actually think that we probably merited a victory that day. I know Gregory will probably argue that Dundee definitely deserves something, but for me, we go 1-0 up early on through Theo Bear, and then we looked pretty comfortable, I thought, through the majority of that game, and then I think there was a lapse in concentration at the back, and before you know it, Dundee had an equaliser. So, no, listen, was happy with a point at the start of the season, particularly because the strikers that we had are injured. I think we didn't have Mika Bereth available to us, or John Obika. So, no, at the start of the season, I was happy with that point. But you look at the situation that we're in now, it's, as he says, it's about getting that win. It's all we need. I think we've been so close that all we need is a win to really kick us on. I don't think we've been far away in many games at all, apart from maybe Aberdeen at home. So, no, we really need a win to move us up the league.
And I suppose no offense to no offense to Gregor and all that. Okay. But he said that I've changed my prediction. It sounds a bit like Graham Duffy when he says that. Actually, he says 2-1, 2-1 away, win to Dundee tomorrow. But we're on till 7, Gregor, so you can, give us a 5-1. Hammer.
Let's see if he changes his mind in the second hour again.
So yeah, but it's only 12 minutes past 5, Stephen. So it's still early enough. I mean, I was about to say they're building on that point last week away to Celtic Park, right? Would you rather play? I'm sorry, it would be interesting for Greg to comment here. Would you rather to play at the likes of Dundee or Livingston instead of like a kind of Hibs Rangers kind of like top 6 side?
I mean, I don't know actually, because there's an element of Motherwell that always seem to rise to the level of the opposition that they're playing. So, but no, listen. You want a home game after it, and I think we've got that. So on paper, you want a home game, but then I'm contradicting myself again because I just mentioned how good their away record is. It's a difficult one to answer. I think the important thing is that the point gives players confidence, and it's a team that's been completely drained of confidence since we won away at Hearts. That was our last league win back near the start of the season. So, no, it's about getting the confidence up and getting that win. I think the good thing for us is that John Obika gets on the score sheet. There's been a lot of pressure put on Mika Bereth to come up with goals and kind of pull us out of situations, but it's good to see Obika coming on, getting back to near full fitness and getting his goal at the weekend. So, it'll be interesting to see if he starts tomorrow because we do have Callum Slattery suspended for picking up too many bookings. So, there's going to be definitely one change to the side. It'll be interesting whether Kettlewell decides to put Blair Spittle back into the midfield three alongside Harry Payton and Callum Butcher, or he sticks with Bereth and Spittle as the more advanced two, and puts Drabkowski in there, who we've not seen much of. So definitely going to be an interesting team selection tomorrow, but hope we get it right.
As for Dundee, what are you expecting of them? And also, Tony Dock has actually gigged well since he's come in here, and people forget that this is his first job, because usually, I know we spoke about it on the show a few weeks ago, Stephen, like that step up to from coach to being a manager. Sometimes it's quite a big kind of like step up, but I mean, I hope I'm not bugging Tony up here, but he's good well so far.
No, he's done really well. I mean, they're sitting in seventh place, they're 4 points ahead of us with a game in hand. So it shows you what kind of a start to the season they've had. I think they would have taken being in this position at this point in the season. The word that I would use for Dundee is stuffy.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Stuffy. They're no easy to break down, and they've got players that can hurt you up the other end. I really love the look of Owen Beck. The boy Boateng as well impressed me, as has Bakayoko. So they've signed really well, as I've said on numerous shows on here. But it's imperative that we win tomorrow, just looking at the league table, because if Dundee beat us tomorrow, they go 7 points ahead of us with a game in hand. So it's a huge fixture for us to claw that back to a point. I'm just trying to work out who Dundee's game in hand is actually against. Well, they go to Ibrox. It's weird because there's midweek fixtures, but Dundee don't seem to have one.
Yeah, no, everybody plays by Bar, Dundee, and Livingston.
There you go.
So
by that point, there you go. We go away to Ross County. If we don't win tomorrow, and then Ross County takes something off as Dundee with 7 points ahead with 2 games in hand, with the fact that they don't play midweek. So it's important that they be winning and put the pressure on.
How close at signing is Scott Kiffney for Dundee? And before you say he's not alone now, if you know that song, but anyway, it's quite a bad line. Graham Booger came up with that line, by the way, if he was in the show, but there you go. But yeah, so how big a boost for Dundee, and they scored a few goals as well.
Scott, it was weird. He seems to have been coming off the bench more often than not. I thought he'd been a really, really pivotal player for Dundee. The one that's really impressed me, that I think is going to go on to levels much higher than Dundee, is Luke McCowan. I thought even against Hibs, even though Dundee didn't get the win, I thought he was one of the best players on the park. You can just see that he's got something a wee bit different. He's brave on the ball. He's always looking to play forward, looking to create. And he's a player that will get fans on the edge of their seat, and they'll make me fall out my wheelchair if I was a Dundee fan. But no, listen, absolutely fantastic player with great potential. So it's about keeping the likes of him and Beck, stopping Beck for getting forward and really making them do the defending tomorrow. But I'm hoping that we can impose ourselves on the game, because it's something that we've been notorious for at home. I mean, particularly a game against Hearts, we just slow start. We need to make sure that we start the game fast. and really come out the blocks.
There we go. Graham Duffy is watching, so I'll take.
It's good that I know his middle name now as well.
Yeah. I'll take everything back I said about him. He's a wonderful part of the locker room team, by the way.
It's a good job he was in 5 minutes earlier. No joking.
Yeah, no, exactly. But it's okay. It's okay. I'm okay with that. He's in Pennycook. I'm in Australia, so it's fine. So the other game, the other game I was going to move on to tomorrow was Kilmarnock against Hearts. I've kind of just picked that team. That's because Graham's watching, and they'll be very upset if you don't spend about 5 seconds speaking about Hearts tomorrow. This is a very interesting game because Kilmarnock has hit a dip. So has kind of Hearts. Graham's probably saying to himself, for a while. But yeah, this is a really kind of interesting game, and I'll be interested to see how Hearts deal with that surface at Rugby Park.
Tough game for Hearts because I know Graham will be pretty confident in the fact that they're going in there winning 3 games on the bounce, but I've got Kelly's home form up in front of me just now. They've only lost 1 game at home this season, and it was to Ross County, and they've won their last 3 on the bounce at home. So again, I've maybe been wrong in the last couple of weeks, but I think Kelly's league position is maybe a little bit of a false sense of security that they aren't doing as well at home. But the stats actually show that the home form's fine. They've got the second best home form in the week, and listen, it's going to be cold tomorrow playing on that plastic pitch. It's hard at the best of times, but I think it will be like concrete tomorrow. So, listen, Hearts have to be confident, but it's a game that should approach with caution, given Kelly's home form, definitely.
Kelvin Sells is on a few days training, so he'll be fit for the game. Obviously, just made an appearance for the bench on Saturday, so good to have him back. Brad Lyons back from suspension, which is another bonus. Young Tom Davis is back training today, who missed last week. And we've had a reserve game yesterday where a few boys came through that as well. Conan Dabba gets 60 minutes under his belt after having been out. So I think as it stands, it'll probably just be Kyle McGuinness and Innes Cameron as we stand. So hopefully we've still got another couple of sessions to go before then, obviously, but hopefully that's the case. I think you've got to recognise the quality of Hearts players. You know, they've got some good players there. The front line keep you honest. You know, you've got to make sure you're fully concentrated. You know, Boyce has come back into the team on a regular basis, and I think that's helped an upturn in results. I think him and Shankland are obviously a decent pair, but Hearts have got some good players. You know, we got a clean sheet at Tynecastle against them. We took them to 90 plus minutes here in the cup tie. I thought we were very good in the game for long spells, and they come up with a moment of quality that wins the game for them. So I think you've got to be mindful of that, but go and try and play your natural game, particularly at home, and try and go and set about getting the result. I think it's important that we aren't too canny and too kind of passive or anything like that. You've just got to go and try and get after them, and hopefully, as I say, be good enough to win the game. We feel confident we'll work at home normally anyway. So and after having 2 away games where we've lost 1 goal and we've only picked 1 point up on the road, but a lot of the 2 away performances have been decent, so it'd be good to get back to home, and as we have been in the last few home games, winning performances, hopefully we can have some more of that.
There you go, that was Derek McInnes speaking about the game tomorrow again. I can remember back to that game, Stephen, in the cup game, Hearts were lucky to win that night.
Well, I think Hearts were, that night, I was at the game myself, I think Hearts were definitely the better team in the first half, but I think in the second half, if you said anybody was going to go on and win that match, it would have been Kelly. I thought they were much better than Hearts in the second half, but then again, he's mentioned it there in his press conference, hasn't he, that Hearts have players that can hurt you in the forward areas, and that's exactly what happened. They've got players like Alex Lowry, who comes up with a goal, who I think that if I'm Hearts, I'm looking to see if I can get him signing a permanent deal, but I don't think it would be possible given how poor Rangers' creativity has been in midfield for late. I think Rangers would be crying out for someone like an Alex Lowry. You've seen how well McCausland's went in and done. I think no doubt that if Lowry was part of that Rangers squad, he would do similar. But no, he's spot on. Hearts have got players that can hurt you in the final third of them. I'm glad that he's echoed what I've said there about Liam in past weeks about Liam Boyce being back in the side. I think that him and Shankland work so well together, and he's almost like a foil for Shankland. But what people don't think about is he's capable of coming up with a goal himself. So no, it's a real tough one to call given Kelly's home form. But as Graham says there, it's a huge game for them because after that they've got Rangers, Aberdeen and Celtic all coming up, which is 3 very tough fixtures. So big game for Hearts tomorrow.
You mentioned Shankland, Stephen. You've not been on the show, but what's your take in terms of like if he's not getting enough game time for Scotland, bearing in mind he come on our week and got us a point away in the last quarter, the second last quarter-final game. But where do you stand on that debate?
I would have Warren Shankland starting for Scotland. I said it, and I said it before he scored against Georgia. I just think he's a predator inside the penalty box, and what he doesn't get enough credit for me is, I'm sure Graham will echo in the comments, his link-up play is really good. I mean, there was aspects in the game against St Johnstone, I think, when they came short, held it up, laid it off to someone, so he's got the ability to do that. But I'd just love to see him start in a Scotland jersey. I think the fact that he never started against Norway was a bit of a shambles, to be honest. Because I think that if players should be rewarded for the form or for good form when he comes on and he enters the point against Georgia and then finds himself on the bench, I don't think Hearts will keep a hold of him. Maybe not in January, but definitely not in the summer if his contract's allowed to run down. I think he'll be on the pastures now, and I'm sure Graham will be hoping that he goes to a club in England and no one of the big two in Scotland, because that's always one of your biggest bugbears as a fan of a non-Old Firm side, is when they like to cherry pick the best talents and then sit them on the bench.
Yeah, I think that was
By the way, could I just say, I think he'd sit on the bench for Celtic. I don't think he'd sit on the bench for Rangers. There you go. There's the difference between the two sides for me at the moment.
Exactly.
Graham saying he's worried in January that if they get a decent offer, the board may take it. Well, I think at the moment, Graham, the board will be weighing that up. They'll be anticipating offers coming in. You would like to think so. So surely they've got their eyes identifying targets elsewhere. I know there's a certain Kevin Van Veen floating about Scottish football that you've been very vocal in saying who you would take. Whether they go for him or not, I don't know. From a Motherwell perspective, I'm hoping that they steer away from the Kevin Van Veen market. But no, I think if you do sell him in January, surely the board have to have a replacement already lined up and waiting to come in.
So, what are you kind of like? Obviously, we touched upon it there before we heard from McInnes, but what are you expecting from this game tomorrow?
I'm expecting it to be tight. I don't think that games at Rugby Park are ever not tight, given the nature of the plastic surface, so they always seem to be relatively close. Again, it's about who starts the brightest, and in Scottish football we see it so often that the first goal is so important. If Kelly get it gives them something to defend, but equally if Hearts get it forces Kelly to come out. So I think that the start of the game is going to be vital. I just think for me it screams a 1-1 draw, which I don't know. Graham can let us know in the comments. Going away a tough place like Kelly, would you take a point tomorrow? It'll be interesting to see. Because if you're asking me to keep that unbeaten run going, if I'm going there as a Hearts fan, I'd certainly take a point against Kilmarnock tomorrow.
Yeah, and obviously Graham will let us know his comments on the game tomorrow. But what are you expecting for Hearts? Another big game for Naismith.
I'm expecting them to come out and be creative. I think that they're playing with a lot more energy, which is something that I pointed out at the start of the season that I thought was a wee bit missing. They look a lot more ferocious in the attack, and there was a move that outlined that, Michael, in the first half last week against St Johnstone. It was a great move, and Alex Cochrane just couldn't finish it towards the end. It's some really nice play, things that you associate a Hearts side with. Good play, high energy, especially at Tynecastle. So I think they'll be looking to come out and get an early goal. They need to get everything for me should go through Alex Lowry if he's playing. I just think the boys a real talent coming through, and if he can get service to Shanklin, do you know where Lawrence Shanklin's going to put it? He's going to put it in the back of the net. So it's all about how creative Hearts are tomorrow. If they can create chances, I think they won the game. And
I
Graham's
think
echoed that by saying 2-1.
2-1, same in the Viaplay Cup. But I must admit, Graham, I think you would be looking for a performance as well, because that's the thing with Hearts. Like you haven't saw a decent kind of performance from Hearts for a wee while, especially at Tynecastle.
I mean, no, Graham's out, so I'll just read you his thoughts here. He's put his thoughts in the group chat to save him typing 24/7 while he's spending time with his family. So we'll just read him out. He's saying 2-1 Hearts, as he said in the comments. He's thinking that they're more solid defensively, but they need to get the balance between being solid defensively and having a threat going forward. We haven't scored more than 2 goals in a league game since April, so there's a damning stat if you're a Hearts fan. The fact that we've scored more than 2 goals in a league game since April. And then, as he said earlier, after tomorrow, they've got Rangers, Aberdeen, and Celtic. So, 3 points is a must. So, there you go. He's answered my question already before I've even answered it. If I just looked at the group chat, apologies for that, Graham. But no, so there's Graham's thoughts tomorrow.
There we go. Heart come out tomorrow on the Ascot Park, and a big shout out to our pal and Corey Glory. I think he's away to the Camargue disability lunch today or something like that. That he was talking to me about earlier in the week. So hopefully, you had a nice lunch, and maybe it was a curry pie you got for lunch. I'm not actually sure. I like curry pies.
I'm not a fan of pies at the game. Unless it's a kebab pie. Have a kebab pie.
Kebab pie. Yeah, I will then. Coming up next on the show, we have got Mary Berry. She'll be talking to us about how Euro puddings and all that is made, like pancakes and ice cream and all that. And we'll be back next week on the show, just about 5:30, speaking about fish and chips for your dinner on Friday night.
Judging by your BMI, you're an expert in them, Michael.
Yeah, no salad, please. Maybe kebabs, but anyway, back on the park we go. See what I did last game, and look at the Livingston Ross County game now. I must tell you that there is a pitch inspection tomorrow at Livingston at 9 o'clock. Tomorrow before the game. I'll run through the other games by the way tomorrow as well, because there's pitch inspections at Ayr United, Arbroath, Morton against Dundee United in the Championship, Skirling Albion against Monclose in League One. And so there you go. So that's because of the nice sunny weather that we're having in Scotland. They're having a pitch inspection tomorrow at Livingston against Ross County. Okay, I don't know where to start with this one, because obviously David Martindale's, I like watching his press conferences every week, but he seems more kind of like agitated the last couple of weeks now. I don't know if it's because that they're at the bottom of the table or they're losing the players because they want to get as much money in as possible. So where do you stand in the Martindale debate, Stephen?
I was speaking on Sunday when I was on with Graham, and I was saying that for me everything at Livingston just seems a bit stale at the minute. The performances are stale, his press conferences are stale, everything just has the feeling of being very, very stale for me. And you almost get a feeling that when something's ran its course, and I think it's starting to get towards that point for Livingston. It's a huge game for them. Tomorrow, if it's ahead against Ross County, it's one that they'll need to win. But listen, on the other hand, a great result for Ross County the other night against St Mirren, managing to get a late winner via Jordan White. So if Libby don't win tomorrow, it's not looking very good for them, because I think St Johnstone are picking up, even though they've got Celtic. So there you go, St Johnstone have got Celtic, so it's huge that when teams above you are playing the Old Firm, that you capitalise on having an easier game by getting 3 points and going above them. But for me, the issue with Livingston is, Michael, I don't see where the goals are coming from. I don't see how they're going to be able to keep them out at the other end. And you hear them banging on about budgets and this and that. And the next thing, if Newbley, who played right back last weekend, by the way, if Newbley gets injured, or Bruce Anderson gets injured, it's a perilous position that Livingston are going to find themselves in.
I just wanted to, before we speak more about the game scheming, I wanted to touch upon David Martindale, because I don't know if you were on the show when me and Graham was talking about this a few weeks ago, and I suppose he's on this. I suppose he's on the same boat as Callum Davison in a way as well. But do you think if he was at a bigger club, no disrespect to Livingston, and they were doing well in the league, he would be away by now? And do you think it's because nobody's going to take a punt on him because they think, well, it's only Livingston?
I'm sure he's had offers elsewhere. I would have capitalised last season if I was him, and I know that's easy to say with the benefit of hindsight. Sorry, I was just laughing at Graham's comment there while you were mid-sentence about him. Thankfully, we don't hear Graham singing Status Quo, otherwise they're so switch off. But anyway, no. You mentioned about him being on the same boat as Callum Davidson. I think he's the boat that he's on at the minute, for me, is a bit like the Titanic, because it's just like a sinking ship at Livingston. For me, and I know that there might be Livy fans listening to this feeling like I'm bashing them every week, but I can only comment with what I'm seeing on the pitch. I don't see where that spark's coming from. Where's Livingston's creative force in the middle of the park? Where's Livingston's goal threat? Where's Livingston's solid defender? Do you know what I mean? I'm a big Jack Fishwater, Oberley. That was a solid partnership for them. They just look very, very soft this season. And the issue of them not carrying a threat at the other end, and they're going in against a Ross County side who have 4 points at their last 6 against 2 tough teams in Kilmarnock and St Mirren. So they'll definitely smell blood going to the Tony Macaroni Arena tomorrow.
Do you feel though, and I'm not having to go at Livingston either, by the way, just in case anybody comments it as well, but do you think it's to do with, I think it's a lot of it's to do with the fan base, because I mean tomorrow, Livingston, Ross County, they won't be a big support there. Definitely not coming down from Dingwall because of the weather and all the rest of it, and plus it's too far to travel. But do you think it's because the team comes out to see that non-home support there, and then when Celtic and Rangers and some teams Motherwell goes there, then it feels like an away game for Livingston?
It's easy to say that now that they're not doing well, but this isn't something that Livingston are new to, is it? They've been in this situation ever since they've been in the Premiership, so I just think it's a case of them not having enough quality on the pitch. And you're right about the attendance, and this is no disrespect to anybody that's going to go to that game, but that game will be lucky to break 1,000 tomorrow. In terms of football supporters, so it shows you how important it is for teams like Livingston to stay in the league, because if they don't, they can easily find themselves doing a Hamilton, Michael, easily. Well, before you know it, they're down at League One. We've seen that happen to them. The last time they got relegated, when they had the first spell in the Premiership, they ended up down at League Two. So it's very easily done for sides that don't carry that big a fan base. So the supporters will be praying that they can find results for somewhere. But I'd love to know if anybody listening or any Livingston fans, if you're listening, let me know in the comments how you're feeling about it, because I sound very negative, but my thoughts reflected by you, it'd be interesting to see.
Gregor makes a comment on YouTube. Basically, he says, I think Livingston could go down this season. And, and it's not even Christmas, and we're talking about that.
Everybody's been talking about them going down for years. Every year it's all Livingston will struggle.
It's a bit like Hamilton, Stephen.
Yeah. And it's not as if they've not really flirted with it majorly. I remember Hamilton flirting with it a couple of times and getting out where you can kind of see, all right, it might be coming. But Livingston have been doing well, finishing 8th, 7th, pushing for top 6 2 seasons ago. When we licked it under Graham Alexander, they just missed out. So they've been there or thereabouts, but it just seems like an almighty slump for them this season. And January's huge for them. If they don't get in a good few signings in January, then it's going to be a long end to the season for them, definitely, in my opinion.
David Grant there was speaking today to the media. He says it's all about the next game and we're focusing on tomorrow's game. I don't think we are a million miles away, but we need to change something as a group, and we need to stick together. I don't know about that line, Stephen, right? But there's so many times you can get away with saying that.
No, I mean, he's got to come out and be positive, hasn't he? He can't come out and be negative about a side that will already be down in confidence. But here's our next 4 fixtures after County tomorrow, right? Hibs at home, Killie at home, and then they're away to Aberdeen and Celtic for 2 huge games against St Johnstone and Motherwell. But I'm hoping that Motherwell are out of the conversation by that point with the fixtures that we've got coming up, but time will tell. But no, huge game for Livingston tomorrow. If they don't win tomorrow, then it's looking extremely bleak for them.
Graham makes a comment on here saying, if Martin Del Reyes too can, who will come in? Yeah. Santa, maybe?
No, but listen, because who's going to want to take on a squad that's struggling with a team that's got a little fan base?
I mean, that is a nice stadium as well, Stephen.
It is a nice stadium, but if you can't fill it, then it's just empty seats in it. So, at night, as I was saying, a club that's struggling with a small fan base, they don't have the budget necessarily to go out and pull players from anywhere that they want, so they need to try and find like wee bits of gold dust in the market, which to be fair to them, David Martindale's been able to do in recent seasons with Lyndon Dykes. I think that was a Martindale signing, but I think it was Kenny Miller that maybe brought him into the club.
Yeah, he was there before Martindale.
Fantastic signing. So the recruitment's been okay. I like the look of the boy Penrice. They had Nicky Devlin. But it's just, again, that goal set. If you don't score goals, you're not going to win games. And Bruce Anderson's only going to get between 8 and 10 a season. Is it going to be enough to keep you up if you're not keeping them out the other end?
And he's only got a few years to go as well, because I think he'll be hitting Ferguson.
Don't say that as if he's got a few years left. I'm 30 tomorrow.
Well, I've told you before that me and Graham's kind of over the hill. Well, maybe Graham more than me. But Anna Lino is saying good evening to myself and good evening to you. I'm Justin. Don't worry, we haven't spoke about St Mirren yet, right? We're leaving until 5 to 7. And we're going to speak about St Mirren for the last 5 minutes tonight. But thanks for watching. Keep your comments coming in. You're listening to, you're watching Independent Drive on a Friday night. So that's the Livingston Ross County game tomorrow.
What about County though? We should maybe speak about County and Derek Adams when he's coming in.
I suppose
he seems to have turned it around a bit, doesn't he?
I suppose he's got the new manager bounce, as they say, but I mean, it's funny when people says, yeah, he's got the new manager bounce, but what is a bounce? A bounce for me is when you bounce a ball.
Well, you bounce up the
Yeah.
table, don't
Yeah,
you?
yeah, I know.
Your form
Yeah,
bounces.
yeah. No,
I think that's the
exactly.
metaphor
Yeah.
that people are going for. But
I think that's a bit of a stupid saying, but anyway, yeah, he's doing well, and I think Ross is quite happy that he's, because according to our group chat, I think he put up a few weeks ago that he's coming home.
Yep. So he was happy that they came in. I think it was a great appointment getting someone, as I said, that knows the club. But you look at it, 2 clean sheets in the 2 games that he's been in charge. And if you're going to stay in the division, if you don't concede goals, it's a very good way to go about it. I mean, you're not going to lose. So I think it's similar to the start. You said similar to what Kettlewell had to do, is be really solid when he came in. So he'll be looking at that game tomorrow and going, do you know what? It's a game that we can win. And listen, I thought the difference for me, Graham mentioned who would take the Livingston job. That Ross County squad's a good squad. They've got players in there that can hurt teams. They've got the likes of Simon Murray, Eamon Brophy, Jordan White. I really like the guy James Brown as well. I think he's a solid defender. Their goalkeeper, Laidlaw, I know people have been touting him for the Scotland squad, and I necessarily wouldn't be against that because he makes a number of saves, and given Xander Clark's performance, I think he could be in with a shout and maybe changing it, but we know that Steve Clark doesn't like to do that too much. So listen, they've got Livy away, us at home. They'll be looking at them thinking that they can win them. Especially if we don't win on Saturday. So it's been a great start for them.
I actually forgot that when we were talking about Hamilton and teams like that avoiding the drop, Ross County as well. You know, they were 90 minutes away from going down to.
Yeah, I think they were 20 minutes at one point away from going down. They were down against Partick at home.
And I mean, Packet Thistle could have won that game, the first game, about 4-0.
Yeah, I can't. I was at that first playoff leg, and I said, me and my sister went, and I said to her, Partick Thistle could regret no scoring more goals against, because they were down to 10 men. I was like, that was a real chance for them to put it out of sight, and it would have if they got another couple of goals, especially with the way they went up and played in Dingwall, because I don't think they were that bad in the away leg. So, but no, Ross County, they come back. They're in the division now, and I'm really impressed with the recruitment. I think it's been good.
And I think that's good too. I'm looking forward to the Scottish Cup draw between Ross County and Packet Thistle in the new year, but it should be a good game as well. And it's back up at Ross County as well, so Packet Thistle might have nightmares about going back up there.
I seen a few Thistle fans posted on Twitter about PTSD.
Yeah.
And somebody said he thinks it stands for Partick Thistle Stress Disorder. That made me chuckle a wee bit. So the fact that they have to go up to Dingwall again. But listen, they'll be looking for revenge in that tie, won't they? I know it's a while away, but that's what Scottish Cup's all about. I think there's some great ties being thrown up, and yep, certainly be looking forward to when we talk about that in January as we get these other fixtures.
Okay, that's the Saturday games done, but it's not finished yet, by the way. We've got games on Sunday as well. The big game at 12 o'clock on Sky. It is Celtic against it is St Johnstone against Celtic. Before we move on to talk about the game, I wanted to ask you, Celtic's out of Europe now. They've got one more game and a week on Tuesday, but it's a dead rubber, as they say in tennis. What can Celtic take out of the European campaign, if any?
I think the lesson is that they need to strengthen if they want to go anywhere in Europe. I mean, you hear Brendan Rodgers, he was talking in his press conference about bringing in established names, recognised names, and if you're a Celtic fan looking at it, with all the money that you're getting for getting into the Champions League, you're thinking, why then not bringing in bigger names and more recognised names? I think there's even more money available to them next year, I read somewhere, so being in it. So, listen, And that's me making the assumption that Celtic are going to win the league. By the way, I'm not saying that the title race is over as of yet, but we'll get on to what I think could be the case come the end of December very, very soon. But no, I think the learning, what Celtic can learn through their run in Europe is, it's all right saying you've been close in games, but you need that clinical edge, and I think they need to sign some real European level quality if they want to make that next step. Otherwise, for me, clubs like Celtic and Rangers are just Europa League / Europa Conference League teams.
I think it's just for me. I suppose, obviously, that me and Graham spoke about it last night as well, that similar to Aberdeen, that it's just basic mistakes that they're making. Okay, Celtic would need to strengthen. Everybody doesn't disagree with that. And I was putting Rangers in that that box as well, Stephen. But I think for me, it's just basic mistakes. I mean, Celtic were only, 50 minutes away. I know that they would still been out of Europe anyway, but from picking up a point in Lazio.
Yeah, well, it's a combination of not taking your chances at one end, and see when you make the slightest mistake in Europe, the teams have that much quality that you'll be punished immediately. That's how good the quality is. Don't get me wrong, Rangers should be beating teams like Limassol. As Graves made a comment, I mentioned this last night. It's another disappointment that apart from Rangers, other clubs are out of Europe before Christmas. We need to be better, and I include Hearts in that. It's disappointing, right, Graham? But I think that you can look at Aberdeen and say they put up a really good showing. I mean, particularly away from home, to be 2-0 down against Helsinki, or you could argue that they maybe shouldn't find themselves in that position in the conditions they were playing in to get it to 2-2. You look at their away games; it's been 2 each, and narrowly beat 2-1 at Frankfurt. So I don't think Aberdeen have disgraced themselves at all. I think they've actually given themselves something to build on. Celtic, on the other hand, they if they want to compete in Champions League, they have to strengthen, and they need to be spending big money. If they don't do that, they won't be able to compete. It's as simple as that.
Let's speak about the game tomorrow, but on Sunday then. St Johnstone against Celtic, as I said, 12 o'clock kickoff live on Sky. This is going to be a massive test for Celtic, not even because that they dropped 2 points last week against your beloved Motherwell, but also coming off a defeat away to Livingston, but also they're coming up against Craig Levein, and St Johnstone has been, everybody tipped them for the drop. At the beginning of the season, everybody in this show, including you and me, Stephen, by the way, we might be eating a bit humble pie soon. But Craig Levein has got them play well and pick up decent points.
I have to sit here and say that when we do what we do on this show, it's not all the time that you're going to get it right. And when St Johnstone appointed Craig Levein, I was like, why? Just because they've been in the game for so long. But listen, I mean, they've picked up 7 points from a possible 12 since he took over. And they would have taken that absolutely. So, no, sorry, that was Ali Cleland. It was the manager, wasn't it, for the game against Kilmarnock.
Just one game.
But listen, it's 4 points for a possible 9 then, and given the fact that they went away to Tynecastle, it's been a real upturn in form, and they've managed to bring themselves back into something that it was seeming like they were getting a wee bit cut adrift from. And what he does have is experience, and I think it's a very different game looking at St Johnstone v Celtic now than what it would have been if we were looking at the same fixture before Craig Levein came in. You would listen, Celtic could still go up there and blow them away. I don't think that St Johnstone have the greatest of records at home with Celtic, so Celtic are very much still favourites. Listen, I'm not saying that, but I think St Johnstone can be more confident that they can go and get a result. They've already shown that they can do it against against Celtic at Parkhead. So why would they feel any different?
Craig Levein was speaking today at the media. He says it will be a tough test no matter what team they put out. And that's the thing, Stephen. I mean, it doesn't matter what team Brendan Rodgers puts out on Sunday. You know, it will be a tough test.
Yeah, no, it will be. But Graham's got a question for you, and I'm interested to see your answer on this as a Celtic man. What are you making of Celtic
I'm a
this
Celtic
season?
fan.
Well, are you? I don't know. Are you? What are you making of Celtic this season? I don't think they're looking as fluent, and for me, they're stifling Kyogo.
Yeah, I mean it's a totally different team that to this season, and you might have been surprised, Stephen, when you saw Celtic last week. Very, very slow at times, completely different to last season under Postecoglou, where I was like, quick. Now it's like, you know, very slow. Sometimes I feel as though it's watching walking football. Sometimes that's how slow they are. And all that, and yeah, I mean, listen, it's totally different. I mean, Brendan Rodgers. I mean, we'll get into his comments in a minute where he says that he wants to bring more 4 new players in at the January the window, whether he gets 4 or 2 or even 1 or even none. To be honest, but yeah, I mean, it's totally different, and I think that Celtic's only performed a few times well this season. Against Aberdeen at Parkhead and also Rangers, and that was a surprising score to everyone because everybody I spoke to, even Celtic fans, were saying that I'm feeling the worst at going there to Ibrox because Rangers were on the up at that point as well. So I mean, listen, I mean, so I'll be honest with you and say Celtic got out of jail big time, and Rangers. God knows what Rangers were thinking in last week, because that was a perfect opportunity to kick on and say, like, Celtic drop points at home. We need to go up to Aberdeen and we need to put on a good performance. It's going to be a very difficult game, and then they kind of slipped up, albeit for that penalty that wasn't a penalty that way. Well, I don't know what your take was on the penalty, Stephen, but you know, Rangers fans would be so disappointed about going away from home last week and not picking up all 3 points. But yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, Celtic's not been firing and all something just yet.
I think for me, Kyogo's coming a lot deeper, and his attributes are running in behind, playing on the shoulder of defenders, and they're not playing to his strengths. And for the guy who scored as many goals as he did last season, to not play his strengths seems a bit crazy for me. I almost think with Brendan Rodgers' style of play, there was somebody that was at Celtic that I think would have been a lot more suited to Brendan Rodgers' style of play than what Kyogo was, and he's away now. But Georgios Giakoumakis, I think, would have been brilliant in a Brendan Rodgers side, because he likes to come short, hold up the play, and then balls into the box that he feeds off. So they'll be regretting that sale a wee bit now, and I think they need that type of striker. I know there's forget the boy's name, but I know there's rumours of the boy for Bromby that they're wanting at 21-year-old maybe coming in. So be interesting to see. He looks a more physical presence. And to be honest with you, I don't know what to make of O. I don't know if I rate him. He's still a bit raw, but he's certainly no impressed the same way that Giakoumakis would coming off the bench. I think it's easy to say that.
I think I would say to that, Stephen, that O's not been given the chance. I know what you're saying, and a lot of Celtic fans are saying that as well, but I don't think he's not scacking a game for me, so you can't really tell when you're coming off on the park 15 minutes. On your point about Giakoumakis, I think he would walk right into that team tomorrow. Another player that we're missing as well is, and I've been a big advocate of Tom Roderick. I think he will walk into that team as well and beat on. But I wanted to ask your comments about David Turnbull. I know that you're sick because he's come away to Celtic, but you know, I don't think he's been given a real chance at Celtic, because every time he comes on the park, he scores. Obviously, he scored the goal last week, but he's been scoring goals when they come on as well. But I don't think he's been given a right chance under Brendan Rodgers. Yeah.
I think he's featured a lot more under Rodgers than he would have under Ange. I don't think Ange Postecoglou rated him at all. I don't think he was suited to Ange's style of needing that energy, that tenacity, to press the whole game. I don't think that's David Turnbull's game at all. I think he needs players round about him to do that, who are then going to allow him to get on the ball in the final third, and then that's when he'll work his magic. Graham's made a great point about Celtic missing Maeda. I think when you look at the performance of Yang last week, Yang wasn't good at all. It just wasn't happening for him. He was trying, but it just wasn't coming off. And what they do miss from Maeda is the energy up the other end, being able to track back, put people under pressure, and it stops other teams getting out as quickly. I'd agree with that. I think they've missed Maeda's energy in the side, absolutely. But David Turnbull, for me, to go back to your original question, Michael, is I'd have him starting every week. I know Celtic fans don't rate him, but I would honestly have him starting every week. David Turnbull, if he's in a Rangers team, he's Rangers' best midfielder. That's how good David Turnbull is. He's Celtic's top goal scorer at the minute in the week. He's a top goal scorer in the week, and he's played the majority of it on the bench. I know you can say he takes the penalties, but I think only 2 of the goals have been penalty kicks. And yep, I think that they do need to find a place for them on the side. I think, and it'll be interesting to see if he does start against St Johnstone on Sunday.
I'd be interested to find out if anybody knows this in the chat, or maybe you do, Stephen, but Celtic must be the worst team in the league, as in height-wise, you know, because I don't think that we've got that physical presence. You were saying about Giakoumakis there and all the Carl Vickers as well. But I mean, if you look at the Celtic team, Celtic must be one of the smallest teams in the league. Graham was saying in the chat there about Mikey Johnson. Look, he's had a raw deal offer the Celtic fans. He came on against Hibs the other week, and okay, Celtic got a point out of the game, but he never scored. As well, and he came on against Lazio, and I think he won a foul right away. But I do think that if we had, I'll rephrase that, if Celtic had stronger players in the team, I don't think Mikey Johnson would be near that team. Maybe a sub and an odd appearance, but I don't think he would be starting kind of like week in, week out. And that's, and you can actually see that the drop off at the moment, Stephen, in terms of a couple of years ago, Celtic had a strong bench and a strong squad. I mean, I remember talking about to Graham with this. But bringing the likes of Mikey Johnson on James Forrest, James Forrest was an excellent player, but I mean, he's getting old now. He's getting over the hill. He's got a decent player right enough. But I guess it was all that, if Celtic had stronger players like Mikey Johnson and Forrest, wouldn't it be looking?
It's a good point that you've maybe not got that same strength of player to come off the bench, but you've still got Leo Abada to come back as well. You've got Maeda to come back, so there's a couple of players in that wing area that are injured. I think Graham should keep his hands off Mikey Johnson at Hearts, because it's somebody that I'd love to take in at Motherwell, to be honest with you. He playing with a point to prove every time he comes on. You can see his endeavour.
He's got to prove a point now, but
he wants to make something happen. He wins the penalty kick against Motherwell. Do you know what I mean? Comes on, puts on a good show against Lazio. I think he creates the best chance to win the game against Hibs. So if you're looking at it now, the players that you have available, who would you start? would you rather start Yang or would you rather start Mikey Johnson? For me, it's Mikey Johnson. I completely take your point with James Forrest. I think he's getting a bit too old now. I think his days at Celtic are probably coming to an end. I don't know. He's not got that same spark about him, has he?
James Forrest is one of these players that you would want to see more of, but he was injury prone. Like he started for Celtic for 2 or 3 games, and he'll miss the next 5 games due to kind of like injury. But I just feel as though when you've had your testimonial, that's you. Away, I don't mean away you go, but I mean that's a wee hint to you as though that he's been there for 10 years, and he's won so many leagues and Scottish Cups for Celtic.
Oh, I'm not disputing the servant that James Forrest has been to Celtic at all. I think he goes down as an absolute Celtic legend. Particularly under Brendan Rodgers' first spell. Maybe that's what Brendan Rodgers is clinging on to. I think James Forrest was one of the shining lights in that side, and he has been a fantastic player for Celtic and a good player for Scotland. He could easily have went down to England at one point in his career. I definitely think. I think there was rumours of him going to Everton at one point, but no, he's been a Celtic man all his days. And listen, he is one of Celtic's most decorated players in terms of honours. So, listen, he'll go down as an absolute legend. I just think that, again, time catches up with everyone, and I think he's getting towards that point in his career.
So, how do you think Celtic will approach this game on Sunday? Obviously, I was saying to you about that St Johnstone, I think the new manager bounce, but Celtic needs to kind of bounce back, as it were, from a disappointing week, you would say, against Motherwell at home. 2 penalties, only scored 1, remember, and then away to Lazio during the week, 10 minutes away from getting a point, even though that you're out, and then get getting beat. So they still got to, they need to come back all guns blazing into this game.
Well, they want to win, especially with having they'll come out full guns blazing right for the off, Michael. Given the fact that they're just coming off the back of 2 disappointing results, but also, on the other hand, Rangers have also had 2 disappointing results against Aberdeen and against Limassol. So, if they win and they go and they win convincingly at 12 o'clock on Sunday, it will really put the pressure on Rangers going into that game against St Mirren. And I don't think that's a given that Rangers are going to win that game at all.
And by the way, the last game St Mirren went there, Rangers scored 2 goals in the last 10 minutes.
Yep. So it just shows you that I think did your buddy Mark O'Hara score that day?
He got the goal of the season for that. By the way, it was an absolute belter. He liked scoring against Rangers because I think he scored against them at Dundee as well.
And there was a penalty, I think, that he put.
He liked scoring penalties. I think he's got the name James Tavernier.
But listen, it's going to be a really tough game, honestly, because St Mirren are not easy. They're very, very hard to break down, and they've got a Younger back. They've got players in their squad that they can hurt you up the other end. And listen, I think that there could be a shock at Ibrox on Sunday. I really do. I don't see. But interesting to see what. And we may as well move on to that game now that we're talking about it. Interesting to see
by the way, sorry, goes to I forgot to tell you what Brendan Rodgers actually was speaking today. He says we want to go on to the summer with winning the league back in Europe as well. But also in January we need to strengthen. He says that Celtic needs new 4 new players, but if we do not get them, we'll get them in the summer. But also he says that we want to cut the squad because Celtic has got 35 in the squad now, and that's a hell of a lot of people to keep happy in the team as well. So that's what
I could name you players just now. You've got Kobayashi, James McCarthy, you've got who's the other one? Ideguchi. Sorrow's still there. So there's loads of players. There's loads of players that you need to kind of get ready and get off the wage bill so that you can strengthen. But,
so Graham's saying that St Johnstone have already taken a point at Celtic Park this season. Yep, that was before Mr. Levine came in, but it will be a tough game for Celtic on Sunday.
He's absolutely right that St Johnstone have already taken a point at Parkhead, so why would they feel what they can at home? So, but I just think coming off the back of a couple of poor results, Celtic are going to look to come really out the traps, and the start of the game will be pivotal, that first 20 minutes.
Okay, let's move on to the game at Ibrox then, Rangers and St Mirren. Before we speak about St Mirren, I wanted to ask you about, obviously it was a disappointing week for Celtic, disappointing week for Rangers as well after coming off the draw against Limassol last week. So, what do you think of this game, Stephen?
All the pressure's on Rangers. And as I was going to say there, it'll be interesting to see what they do with Todd Cantwell, because he came off after 35 minutes last night and he wasn't too happy. And rightly so. I think there was I know I put a tweet out saying I don't really know what he offers, and I don't think he gets enough assists. I don't think he gets enough goals for me. I think he is very, very overrated. I will stand by that comment. I'm not going to change my mind, but I'm also in agreement that there was worse players on the pitch last night than Todd Cantwell. And one of them for me is Sam Lammers. I think the sensible substitution to make, if you're any Rangers fan watching it, would have been to take Lammers off, put Cantwell in the 10, and then move McCausland out wider. And I thought young Ross McCausland was the shining light, the only shining light in what was a terrible performance from Rangers. They should be beating sides at Limassol with absolute ease, and that's no disrespect to Limassol. But I think last season was their first venture into Europe, and they've went 2 games against Rangers, who, by the way, a couple of years ago were Europa League finalists, and they've took 4 points for them. It's a damning statistic if you're a Rangers supporter.
But what does it say about the Rangers squad, Stephen? Right, if a young boy comes off the bench, he's going to make his second start, and he was actually better than the whole team put together.
The players have a lot to answer for. I think that in the big games, certainly since Michael Beale's come in, they've not been able to get the job done. I mean, Aberdeen have took 4 points off them this season. Limassol have took 4 points off them in Europe, and that's why I'm saying it's no given against St Mirren, because as Mino says there, they've got Ayunga back, O'Hara back, and Keanu Bacchus all available, who are 3 massive players for St Mirren. And I look at who Philippe Clement's played. He squeezed the result against Hearts, and then he goes up against Aberdeen and he can't get the win there. So,
well, I was about to say that. Like, when I came off the show last night, obviously I thought, I was thinking about different things, right? But you can put the nail in the head there. Like, Clement's played 2 games, no disrespect to Dundee and all the other teams that he played, right? Aberdeen in the European game last night and failed to win. Not failed to win any.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So it's another tough game for them against St Mirren, and I can see a shock. I really can, and it's a similar feeling that I had to when Rangers played Aberdeen. I just think that I can sense that there's going to be a result that will make people go, oh.
I asked this question before we come on air, Stephen, and I'll be interested to hear what you say again on there. Probably the same answer. But I know it's a bit unfair because Clement's only been there for a few weeks and he's not had a transfer window. But if you look at the game last night, if you look at Aberdeen, if you look at all the other games that they play, do you actually see a change in the style of play that they were playing under Michael Beale?
I think they've definitely been a lot more creative, is what I will say. I think there was a lot of hopeful crosses into the box and hoping it would fall to certain players under Michael Beale. But you look at you can't say that they didn't have chances to win that game against Aberdeen. They definitely did have the chances, but they didn't come away with the result, did they? So I think it's the players that have got to take responsibility. I think tactically, Clement's setting them up okay. I just think that you need to have a ruthlessness when you play for Rangers or Celtic. You need to be cutthroat. You need to almost have that element of feeling superior when you come up against another opposition. And I feel like Rangers have not risen to the occasion. The players have not risen to the occasion on too many occasions this season.
Well, obviously, we'll speak about the cup final in a few weeks' time, and I think that was a kind of indicator of the game that we saw last week. Even though it's a different competition, it's a different venue as well. But Rangers fans would be going into this game a bit worried because of that. As I said to Glenn last night, Rangers have failed to beat Aberdeen in the last 3 games he's played now.
There you go. And again, as I say, it will just put all the pressure on the Rangers, and that'll be the game that makes or breaks for Luke Clement, I think. It won't get the sack if he gets beat, like you suggested earlier in the show. He will get time to bring in his own players and bed in his own squad, but Rangers have to be winning that. And that's no disrespect to Aberdeen, but if they don't, it's 3 times they've come up against Aberdeen this season and not got a win. So when was the last time that would have happened for the Rangers side to have not beaten Aberdeen in the last 3 games? As you said there, they have, if you go back to last season. But when was the last time that statistic would have been a thing?
No, exactly. Yeah, because usually our team goes Skybooks and they won the game once in the blue moon, and they've not. And then they go back there another 10 times and fail to win as well. But Anna Lino makes a comment about St Mirren hasn't won at Ibrox since 1991. Although we never grew there in any, we've never got grown there in any cup competitions when they were in the lower league. So that's a good start, but it might be a positive start going into the game on Sunday. I don't know. You can tell that
has to end at some point, doesn't it? Has to end at some point.
But I mean, as I was saying to you earlier on, Stephen, I mean, St Mirren was a.
Could I just go back, because there's a point I want to make about the cup final? Sorry, Rangers' result last night now means that they have to go to Betis 3 days before the cup final and get a result.
Mm-hmm.
So there's another factor when you think about the cup final.
2 big games,
that they will have to go and exhaust a lot of energy. Play Betis, whereas they would have been hoping to maybe go there and already be through and be able to rest some players ahead of the big cup final on the Sunday, but they're now not afforded that luxury. Whereas Aberdeen, on the other hand, are out of Europe. All right, they play at home to Frankfurt, but they can afford to maybe rest a couple of players going into that big game. So,
yeah, no, I get it.
It's not in Rangers' favour at all as you sit. So,
yeah, no, I was just going to say that Anna Rainlow's point there about St Mirren hasn't won Ibrox since '91. They were about 50 minutes away from winning the game last season. And if it wasn't for Rangers coming back, and I think they had a wee penalty in there, I'm not sure, then they were going to get the points that day as well. What about St Mirren? They've been very impressive under the old gaffer, Stephen Robertson.
Yeah, well, they have towards the start of the season, but as we know, rightly pointed out in the comments, I think they're in a wee bit of a poor run at the minute in terms of results. I'm just looking here. Oh, they got the one against Livingston, but before that, it's 1-1 in the last 5. And that was at home to Livingston. So that then goes back to the point about how poor Livy have been. But they lost to Celtic away, drew at home to Hibs, you beat away to Dundee, won at Livy, and then you beat again against County. So they aren't maybe on the best of form, but then to give us no hope, what I will say is you've just mentioned all the players that are coming back, Ayunga, Bacchus, O'Hara, all players that make your team, that improve your squad individually, and to get the 3 of them back, I would be. I'm still telling you, I'd be going there with confidence.
But I suppose, like, you could say the same thing about Motherwell, because, like, when we were having this conversation last week on the show, I bet you were saying, yeah, well, we'll give a good account of ourselves, but you know, we might get beat by the or goal or whatever kind of thing. So only, well, obviously we don't know what's going to happen against Dundee tomorrow, but it can only take 1 point or 3 points or whatever to get you back on the horse, as it were.
Here's a stat that again should make us, more confident. So Mirren haven't lost 2 games in a row all season. They've always followed up a defeat with a result. So, listen, I know there's no tougher, well, there's maybe only one tougher place to go to than Ibrox in the league, and that being Celtic Park, but stats are looking like, if the stats continue, he's getting a result on Sunday. So,
I know how you'll be getting a Christmas card from this season, Stephen, if they get a point on Sunday or 3 points. Not from me. Anyway, season of goodwill and all that. Yeah, I mean, it's. I think it's an important game for both teams. Obviously, Rangers might get back on to that one away, and they will know by the time that they kick off the Celtic game will get finished. They know what to do. But I suppose, like, Stephen, it doesn't matter what Celtic does. Rangers have to just keep care of their business at the moment.
Yeah, Rangers need to keep winning, Michael, and hoping that Celtic slip up. And that's been the problem. Celtic go and drop points, as you said, against Motherwell, and Rangers can't capitalise on it. So you're only going to get so many opportunities to close that gap on Celtic, because Celtic will put it right at some point.
Yeah, it won't happen every week.
It won't. So I was speaking to my mate who's a Rangers fan. He's he's a bit deflated because, and I think he's right, because he feels that Celtic have really been there for the taking this season, and Rangers haven't been able to take them.
Yeah,
they've not been able to take them.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that, Stephen.
So, and the point I was going to make earlier in the programme was that Rangers have got to go to Hearts. They've got to come to Motherwell. 2 very tough places to go before they go to Celtic Park at the end of December. So the point I was going to make, the league could be done by the end of December. It could be finished.
Before we move on to the last game, right, and you just hit me, you just hit me off with me, Stephen, right? You know, when you listen to, you know, different pundits apart from us speaking about the games, and they say, well, it's going to come down to the photo film games of the Glasgow derbies, whatever you want to call it. I think that's been a bit disrespectful to like Motherwell and teams in the league. I mean, Hearts are Hearts. I mean, Motherwell's not going to win the league anytime soon, right? But what I'm saying is, a one-off game, they can give Celtic a run for the money, and it showed you last week. So, well, you know, it's not going to come down to the 4 games.
You look at who wins the league. The team that wins the league is the team that doesn't drop silly points to teams out with the Glasgow rival, if you like. So, and that's what Celtic have been a lot more consistent, and Rangers have in the last few seasons. That's why they've won the league. But I've just got a message in here from Ross, who's a County fan. he's saying that it's forecast to be as cold as -6 in Livingston tonight. So most pitches, he makes a good point. Most pitches, regardless of AstroTurf or grass, would struggle to be playable. So it's looking like that game is going
Is
to
off.
come foul to the weather tomorrow.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, let's talk about the last game of the weekend before we move on to the championship and look ahead to the women's national team tonight. It is Hibs against Aberdeen. I've actually quite enjoyed watching Aberdeen in Europe this season. It's quite refreshing not to watch the big two. It's nice to watch another team like Hearts last season and in Aberdeen this season as well. I would like to see more teams getting to the kind of group stages, but I suppose that's another debate for another season because we'll be here till whatever speaking about it because I've got lots of points in that one. But it's a big game for Aberdeen, but also it's a massive game for Hibs as well.
Yeah, but I think Hibs' form has started to show a wee bit of an upturn, Michael. They're unbeaten in the last they're actually unbeaten in the last 5 league games, going back as far to Rangers and Philippe Clement's first game in charge at Ibrox. But the only one blemish in between that is getting beat off a 10-man Aberdeen side. So Aberdeen will feel like they've got Hibs' number a wee bit, but then again, you look at how Aberdeen's performances have been after the European ties. They've really struggled to put in a performance coming off the back of a European fixture. So to go away to Hibs, I don't think that it's going to be a welcome fixture from an Aberdeen point of view. They do sit 10th in the league. They're level 1 points with 2 games in hand, but it's a tough one for Aberdeen, I think.
And also, what I was going to say was the same question I was going to ask you, Stephen. I asked Graham last week as well, last night as well. Disappointing week for Celtic and Rangers in Europe, but I think Aberdeen should be very not overjoyed, but kind of happy with the week that they've had. Albeit they're out of Europe, they put on a good performance, and don't forget that. If Miovski scored that chance in the last minute, we could be talking about Aberdeen getting the first 3 points in Europe this season. So they've actually gigged well. And then last week as well against Rangers at Piccoglie.
No, they did. They done well there. I mean, they were looking at the soccer chance as well, saying if that went in, we could have made a great start in the first 10 minutes against Rangers. But in Europe, I said it earlier, they've been fantastic in Europe. I think, I mean, even their home games they've been relatively close. I think they were close to getting something even against PAOK at home. I think it was a VAR decision that didn't go their way in that one. Then they couldn't quite get the winner against Helsinki at home. So they're very, very close to being in a situation where if you look at it, they could still be in and they're sort of getting qualified, but they've just not managed to get over the line in certain games.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I suppose it's good experience of Barry Robson because obviously this is his first job being manager, but he's handled himself well. If you watched him last night, I thought it was a quiet guy, but it just shows you, that I think the snow got the better of him, but he was shouting the odds through the whole game.
No, it just shows you that because I think for the win in Europe, Aberdeen do come away with some money for it. If they manage to get a victory, I think you get more money.
They won a snowball.
Plenty of rain flying about winter last night.
Yeah.
But no, it was players slitting everywhere. Tough conditions. I mean, the points you thought the game was going to be abandoned, but they managed to, apart from that wee 15-minute spell where they took the players off the pitch.
Yeah.
To get the game finished, and Aberdeen could have easily won it at the end, as you said. But no, they've been really impressive, I think, in their performances in Europe, and I do think that they'll kick on in the league. now that once the European schedule is over with, I think that they'll really push through and do well.
And also for Hibs, it's a big week coming up for Hibs because they're at home to Aberdeen tomorrow, and Wednesday night they're off to Celtic Park.
Yep, so two tough fixtures, but like I say, they're 5 unbeaten in the league. Yeah, I thought that aspects of their performance against Dundee was really impressive, particularly the move for Tavares' goal was a great move, and they are starting to find a bit of form that hopefully they'll be hoping that can continue because, as you say, 2 tough games coming up, but I don't know. I just think with the fact that Aberdeen are coming away from a European fixture that they're going to get the job done and manage to get the win.
Okay, let's move into the Championship then. No Flegg night game tonight because Scotland's playing tonight. We'll look ahead to the women's game in a wee minute or two. Ayr United is at home to managerless Arbroath. Dunfermline playing Queen's Park. Morton is at home to Dundee United. As I say, that's a pitch inspection tomorrow as well, doing it sunny Greenock. Inverness, I'm surprised that game's not off or got a pitch inspection, but anyway, Inverness is at home against Roof Rovers, and the Pig and Whistle, as I like to say sometimes, Packet Thistle is at home to Ayr United. Touching on the Ayr United Arbroath game tomorrow, it's going to be a big game obviously for both sides. I'm skating the obvious there, but were you surprised that Dick Campbell got the sack?
I think there was a couple of results where he was under a bit of pressure and fans weren't happy. I remember Dave saying after a certain game, I can't remember what game it was, he was nearly scrapping with one of the fans. So the pressure was starting to mount. And it's a shame because I think that Dick Campbell was one of the last few characters in terms of management left in Scottish football. His interviews are fantastic. Him as a person, you can tell he's just a great man manager, and he'll get the players playing for him. So I don't think it was ever the case of him losing the dressing room. I just think, again, time catches up with everything, and maybe time he just ran its course a wee bit. But I think you look at what he's done: 1 League Two, 1 League One. Never got them promoted. I mean, at one point we were nearly talking about Arbroath being in the Premiership. That shows you how good a job Dick Campbell did there. But maybe they just felt that a change was needed, and I'm hearing a lot of people saying Kevin Thompson for the Arbroath job. Yep. So I think that'd be an interesting appointment, and I think that they will go down the route of appointing a young manager rather than going for somebody with experience this time.
Ayr United will be hoping to get back to the playoffs this season. It's going to be a bit more difficult, but what do you think of them under Lee Bullen? He's done a decent job there so far.
He's doing okay. I think okay would be the word that I would use to describe it. But I mean, they've not won in their last 4 in the league. And there's some teams in there that they would fancy beating, including the likes of Morton. Okay, maybe not Inverness because they seem to have really turned things around under Duncan Ferguson. But I mean, they were almost at the cup apart from, I think, a last-minute equaliser and a winner in extra time against Peterhead. So listen, it's important for them that they try and get back to winning ways. I mean, they've got plenty of experience in the side with the likes of Jamie Murphy and Aidan McGeady, so they've got players that have been round the blocks and been there and done it. So, but it'll be a game that they'll be looking to go and win, because if they don't win, they're only 2 points outside the playoffs, and that's the relegation playoffs. I mean, and they're 4 points outside the promotion playoffs. So that shows you how tight that league is. It's a very very tight league, and the fact that they're the home team on Saturday. They'll be. In fact, I'm just looking. You're talking about that game. It's been postponed, mate. So they're going to need to wait. That's postponed, and so is Morton against Dundee United. Both of those games are off tomorrow.
Oh, right, okay, that must have come out in the last
So
few
it must
minutes
just
then.
have come out in the last wee while.
Aye.
But
But you were looking forward to the game
I
anyway.
was, I did a good bit of analysis there just for me to check it and
I
go,
know.
oh, game off.
Yeah.
But no,
You
that game's off.
spent half an hour on the A4 sheet bit of paper writing about the game, and you can put it in the bin now, Stephen.
Well, I tell you what is going to be interesting. There's an interesting fixture tomorrow, given Inverness's upturning fortune, if you like, under Duncan Ferguson. Is they play Raith Rovers at home. And now with the fact that Morton against Dundee United is off, it gives Raith the chance to close the gap between themselves and Dundee United to a point. So huge game for Raith tomorrow.
I wanted to speak about Dunfermline against Queen's Park. I don't know about you, but I was quite enjoying watching the 5 derby last week in the Scottish Cup. The atmosphere as well, and sometimes like when you watch kind of like Dunfermline, you're wishing that they were back in the Premiership, because it is I don't know about you. I don't know if you've been to East End Park. It's it's a good ski game, and it's a good kind of atmosphere as well. But yeah, I mean, what are you expecting from this game tomorrow?
I mean, I Dunfermline win. I think Queen's Park. I don't know. The guy that helps assist me at Cairnglen in my show on a Monday, he's a Queen's Park fan, and he's just he's a bit deflated with the results that they've been putting in. They're not the same Queen's Park that they were talking about last season. I think there's been a lot of uncertainty at the club between the move to Lesser Hampden back into Hampden. There's been a lot of kind of a confusion there. But I tell you something, the last league win was in the 19th of August.
Oof, yeah.
That was the last league win, way back at the start of the season. So it just shows you the kind of a barren run that they've been on in the league.
And it's a shame as well, because everybody was big in Queen's Park up as well, because I think gives Withy Hockey not kind of see the main shareholder at Queen's.
Willie putting money in, so the people have been putting money in, but it's not quite clicking on the pitch for some reason. And they'll need to rectify that sooner rather than later. Otherwise, I think the manager could be on a shaky peg and finding himself a job. But listen, it's not an easy place to go to, East End Park. I mean, Rafe made it look very easy last week, but it's not easy to go to. Dunfermline are always tough to beat at home. And it's not looking good for Queen's Park going into that game tomorrow.
And I think that I don't know about you, but one man that stood out for me for the game last week, and also the game before, I can't remember the game it was on the week before, it was Dunfermline and Morton was on as well. A player, you might take a punt. I don't know if you would take a punt with him with Murrell or whatever, on Moffat.
Well, I wouldn't be taking a punt on him, because I think these goals against Morton were his first goals for Dunfermline. But listen, he did do well the following week, and I think it just shows you that confidence is massive for football players. It shows you how big confidence actually is in the game. And actually, no one was at Celtic when my dad was there. And he's wiry, he's fast, he's capable of coming up with a goal as well. He's a good player. I just don't quite know if he's ready for the leap into Premiership football yet. I think he needs to kind of continue to establish himself with good performances in the Championship for Dunfermline, and then he can maybe look at that next stage in his career.
Yeah, because he's on loan from Blackpool. I don't know if it's
he's on loan from Blackpool.
Whatever. As well. I wouldn't like to be in Blackpool to mind you that enough. But anyway, let's speak about the last game, and I think it's not class as a derby, Stephen, but as a kind of derby in a way. Packet Thistle against early for Hull?
I think probably in terms of closeness, like tightness in the league, that's the fixture this round, I think, as well. It's the one that really stands out. I mean, Partick Thistle, for me, they're kind of out of the running for the league to win the league, but they definitely need to be looking to ensure that they're winning the home games and definitely getting the playoffs. And I know that they've lost a few players, but there's players in that squad that have the experience for last season of playing in the playoffs. So I think that it'll be interesting. But between them and Rafe, I think, to see who makes it to the playoff final.
So that's the championship games tomorrow, and the Premiership games spread all over Saturday and Sunday. Don't forget, we're on tomorrow night. Graham will be holding the fort as the balls come out the bag or whatever they do at UEFA. About the growth, the European Championships. Yeah, what is Mr. Racing is going to, and I'm not jealous at all. He has got his tickets all sorted out. If I leave the house now, I might just make it to the first game of the Euros. So so that's tomorrow night between 5 and 7. Stephen, let's move on to the women's game now. There's a game tonight in the Nations League between and Group A. It is Belgium is at home, Scotland, Belgium and Scotland. That's a 7:30 kickoff, and you can watch the game on BBC Alba or iPlayer. As well. After when you're watching this game, actually, make yourself a cup of tea, and you've only got 20 minutes to wait until the big game tonight against Scotland. But this is a must-win game for Scotland because it's not really made a good start to this Nations League campaign.
I've got the team here for you, the Scotland lineup, if you would like it. We've got McIver in goals, Brown, Clark, Cossey and Docherty at the back. We go with Emsley, Kerr, Cuthbert in the middle, and according to Flasco, front three of Thomas, McLean, and Evans. How accurate that is, I don't know, because Flasco can kind of foot it about with our lineups. But
I think how you advertising websites on the show. It's brilliant.
Sorry, there are other apps available. But no, that's the lineup.
And our women's football correspondent has joined us right on time when we're talking about the women's game tonight. Dave, how are you?
Very well, thanks, very well. Yes, as Stephen said, the team there, it's going to be a tough task for Scotland tonight. I'm not going to lie to you. It is going to be a tough challenge. A few surprises in the team. McKeever starting the goals tonight is a bit of a surprise. I was expecting Gibson to come back in. And I don't know. We obviously don't know what's happening internally within the culture and environment within the Scottish national team, or the women's team, I should say. But McKeever coming and go back in goals, which is hardly play for Man City, suggests to me that there's maybe a rift between Gibson and Martinez Loza, but that's going to be that's a rather fascinating one. Brown, Clark, Cossey, and Docherty. I'm delighted Kelly Clarkson. I presume it's Kelly Clark. I'm delighted she's in because, in my opinion, she's one of the best defenders in the league. She is as formidable as a Caitlin Hayes for Celtic women. But what Kelly Clark provides for you is she provides that type of player.
Is he? Have we lost him
there?
Dave, I think he's back. So I just to capitalise on or to follow up on what Dave was saying there. Jenna Clark is it starting? It's Jenna Clark in it and the centre back, and then no, she seems to be a regular feature for Liverpool, Jenna. So she's in at the back, but as he says, yeah, definitely a surprising goal in terms of the lineup. But yep, it's going to be a tough game for Scotland going away to Belgium. I mean, Belgium are looking to kind of put the pressure on Netherlands with a win. And we've only got 1 point, so to go away to Belgium and get a victory, it's going to be tough.
And also, they've got another difficult game on Tuesday night, Stephen, against England at home.
Yep, yeah, and if we don't win tonight, then that's us out, isn't it?
Yep.
We're out, and we drop down to League B, and I'll let Dave take back over again since he's the expert. Yeah.
I don't know if Dave can hear us. Oh, we can see your lips moving, but we can't hear you. Nope. It's got maybe got a wee issue with Dave, but
I mean, for Scotland to be playing in amongst these teams, you're hoping that it's a good experience for them and it can improve them moving forward. I think the strongest area of the pitch is definitely our midfield. Our midfield's really strong with Kerr, Cuthbert and Ainsley. So we're looking for maybe a bit of creativity for there, but it's going to be so tough going up against Belgium, isn't it?
Yeah, no, exactly. What do you think of the Nations League? Do you think it's a good format for the women's game?
I think it's a fantastic format both in the women's game and in the men's game, because it stops these needless friendlies taking place. And you can see how well it's done for the men's team. That's what got us to the Euros in 2020. As I say, for the women to be playing against the likes of England, Holland, Belgium, and testing themselves is it's really good. I've not managed to see much of it, but I did watch the game against England, and I thought we were extremely unlucky at the Stadium of Light. I mean, we should definitely have had a penalty kick. I mean, how we never get that penalty kick, I do not know. And then obviously disappointing only to get the point. I think at home to Belgium, wasn't it? So maybe again we were hoping to win it 3, but listen, it's an uphill task for the girls, and as long as they continue to put in good performances, I think that's the main thing.
I think what we could say about the game in Tuesday, if they don't win tonight, then mathematically, as you say, that out. But you would maybe encourage people to go along to see the game, because you want to. I know we use the word inspire too many times in sport and whatever, but you might think, oh, somebody's there want to play for the national football team one day, and that's a good opportunity to see the heroes.
I think particularly the women's game is something that I've been involved in when I was at Kelly, and it's good to see it growing. I think more clubs, particularly in Scotland, are playing at team stadiums. Clubs are doing a lot more to promote it than they ever have. And listen, you see what happened. I think when we were in the World Cup, I remember sitting watching that whole competition, and unfortunately we chucked it against Argentina. But no, the women's game is definitely growing, and it's just, I think the Nations League has just been a wee bit of a step up, just a step up too much for Scotland. I don't think we're quite there to be able to compete with the likes of Holland. And all right, we showed that we can kind of compete with England, but Holland narrowly beat us at home, but they were well deserved winners away, beating us 4-1. So listen, the girls are getting there, and to see the girls playing against these sides and playing at Hampden, it can only be good for the women's game, Michael. It can only be good.
There you go. That was a 2 minutes off the bench from Dave Smith. That was his preview of the game tonight. He's having some issues with that. So yeah. So hopefully Scotland will win tonight and put in a good performance. About the game now. Before we finish up tonight, I want to. We're not about the football in this show, but we always speak about other sports as well. I know Stephen's a big Ronnie O'Sullivan fan. We want to speak about him in a minute or two because he's got a new documentary. I've not seen it yet, actually. But I want to get your take on the news that came out today about Kyrgiakos, Nick Kyrgiakos in tennis has thanked Andy Murray for helping him with his mental health struggles. Now, I mean, I don't know about you, Stephen, but you don't like to see anybody. I don't like to use the word struggle or suffer, but you don't want to see anybody struggling with their mental health.
No, and he says that Andy Murray spotted the signs of his poor mental health during the practice session.
Yeah.
And it's, you don't want to see anybody going through that. I know there's a lot of people with polarizing, if I can get my words right, opinions on Nick Kyrgios, but for me, I think sport needs more people like Nick Kyrgios in it. I think when Nick Kyrgios is playing tennis, you want to watch immediately. He tries things. He does things that most people wouldn't even attempt. And his forehand is so strong. He gets so much power in it, and he's serving. He likes to play quick. It's always frantic when he does play. I love watching Nick Kyrgios. And if Nick Kyrgios can get right in between the ears, I'm telling you, Michael, everybody in tennis better watch out, because when he's on fire, and he's up for it, there are not many better in the game than Nick Kyrgios.
Yeah, he's a good character of the game, but I just feel as though that if he, I just feel as though that if he cuts it out, Stephen, I think he would win more games.
Yeah, but it's easy saying that. I mean, like you say, we don't know what's going on inside Nick Kyrgios' head, and that is down to Nick Kyrgios. What he does have to do is he needs to put the practice in. I think I read a lot about him playing video games, this, that, and the next thing. Get yourself out in the court, get the practice in, because you've seen it. He's had runs deep in tournaments before, got to Grand Slam finals, so he's capable of doing it. It's just whether Nick Kyrgios can turn up every week. Because if that happens, then he should be a multi Grand Slam champion.
Yeah,
for the talent that he has on the end of his racket, but it's just getting him right in between here.
Also, he said that he spent time in hospital after losing at Wimbledon in 2019. And I just wanted to ask about this, Stephen, as well, because more and more people are coming out for the sport, or kind of like in the media in general, are coming out to speak about the mental health. Do you think that's a good thing, that people's actually speaking about mental health?
The more people that talk about it, the better that is for everyone, I think. And I would encourage anybody, whether they're listening to this, watching it, if they're struggling to speak. Particularly, I think at this time of year, when it's Christmas and times are tough, I think, financially for everybody at the minute. And it's no easy to get yourself up for doing things in the winter nights, or when it's dark and it's dreary. It's important that you do speak up, because for anybody listening, everybody would rather that you were here than you weren't. People in your life would much rather you spoke than you didn't. And for people involved, who people may look up to do it, it can only be good, because it maybe give other people the courage just to speak.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I've not got anything to add to that, Stephen. I think you hit the nail on the head with all your points there as well. Right, before we finish up, we're going to talk about snooker and the European Championships held this week at York. Before we go on to speak about the snooker, or as I say, before we go on to the bays to talk about the snooker, let's speak about Ronnie O'Sullivan, because he's got a new documentary. I think it's on Netflix at the moment.
It's on Amazon Prime.
Amazon, yeah. And I've not actually saw it yet. I think they had a big launch. What was it, last week or the week before, down in London? You've seen it, Stephen. What do you think?
Absolutely fantastic, and it's the way it's produced that makes it so good. It just feels like you're with Ronnie O'Sullivan. You don't hear much from the person asking the questions. You hear for his family, but you hear for him as well. And listen, what that guy's been through off the table with his father. He's went through a lot, and he goes through his struggles. You just spoke about mental health there. You kind of see firsthand his struggles with his mental health, and just what a great champion to when you watch the whole thing unfold for them to be able to pull himself out. He was kind of anxious on one of the sessions against Trump in the final, but for them to go and pull himself out, it makes you feel for him, because I know there's been a lot of press about, oh, Ronnie should be doing this, should be doing that, about his character in the past, but wow, man, you really feel for him on a human level for everything that you've been through after you watch it, and it makes a great champion look even more great if that's possible.
And that's I think that separates snooker from football and all that. And I suppose that you could even associate Kiriakos when we were talking about that, and like golf as well. It's kind of like individual sports where I'm thinking that, football players, they've got their teammates around them. And I'm not saying like they hide behind their teammates, but when you're a snooker player or golf player, you're out there on your own. You've not got any teammates, so you've got to, you've actually got to deal with that pressure yourself.
It's a great point, and it's shown brilliantly in the documentary, The Edge of Everything. If anybody wants to go and watch it, I would advise them to do so tonight, because it's illustrated fantastically. Just the pressure that these guys are under. I mean, that was Ronnie going for his equal 7th World Championship during the documentary, and you kind of see the build up to that, see him during it. And I think snooker would probably be the toughest, because with tennis you've got a bit of an atmosphere. You can tactically impact the opponent's game in tennis, whereas with golf, and in golf you can kind of map out a course and how it would favour you and how you can get the best out of your game in the course. With snooker, you're basically just hoping it happens.
Basically, you're snookered. So I couldn't help that joke.
Oh, you've lined them up for that one.
Yeah, exactly. But
no,
I think you're right, Stephen.
Great champion, absolutely great champion. And do you know what? It would be easy for me to sit here as a Scotsman and lie and kid on and say that Stephen Hendry's the greatest that's ever played the game. I think there's only one person that pips him, and I'm sorry, it's Ronnie O'Sullivan. He's absolutely wow. The speed he plays it, there was a shot, I think, in his last 16 game that hit the cushion near the baulk line, and it still somehow ends up going up to the pocket and going in. You can say it's luck, but I think when you're as good as Ronnie is, you've earned that luck, and he's into the semi-final against Hossein Vafaei tomorrow, who he has a wee bit of needle with, shall we say. There was a bit of needle between they two in the World Championships when they met last year. So it'll be interesting, because I think that was 4th round, last 16 they met in the World Championships.
Yep.
Now they're meeting in the semi-final of the UK Championship. So it's one of the big three in snooker, and I'm sure Ronnie will be looking to take it to the cleaners again.
And I think, like, when we talk about ambassadors for football, and when we talk about ambassadors for different sports as well, Ronnie O'Sullivan is a great ambassador for snooker.
Oh no, he is the ambassador. He's the face. When you hear snooker, you immediately think of Ronnie O'Sullivan, and speaking about that in another interview that he did somewhere else, about how he feels like he almost has to be the voice for other players and kind of lead the sport. Because I don't know about you, but when Ronnie O'Sullivan retires, him and Higgins are kind of and Williams are the last of that kind of a generation of when I was growing up in the 90s. It was, and I know it was big in the 80s as well, but even in the 90s when you had Williams, Higgins, you had Hendry still playing, O'Sullivan, it was just, snooker was huge. It was massive.
And it's getting bigger now, Stephen, because like they play tournaments in Japan and all the rest of it.
No, there's plenty of tournaments, but I think that's one of the issues that Ronnie's saying that they like a bit of a break. But I think we're coming towards the end of the show, so I'll not spout on too much.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I like what you did there about taking a break.
The Locker Room, with all the sports news you need. Live.
Oops.
That's us done.
No, I think we're still live. No, we're not. We're done. Dave, you finished up a minute early, mate.
I
But
think
that's
it
fine.
finishes immediately.